Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another day of Bible reading. Today we are going to read Second Samuel, chapter 5, verse 1 until 25. So, today we're going to learn about David, anointed king of Israel, not just Judah, Israel. And then later David defeating the Philistines. So if you remember last time, we read about how Ishbosheth, one of Saul's sons, was murdered by uh, two men who were actually taking care of him, two of his captains. So Rechab and Bana. So yeah, these were the two captains of Ishbosheth's army, but they ended up killing him while he was in his sleep. And then they went to David. They were like, "Hey, we killed Ishbosheth for you." Like, yeah, what do you think? And David was like, "No, I didn't ask you, and their blood is on your hands." So David didn't entertain that, and now they are all dead. So today we are going to read David anointed king of Israel. So if you remember, Israel is what the name Israel was the name Jacob got when he wrestled with God in the desert. So if you remember, after Jacob had been living, I think on the run from Esau, his brother, and then now after some time, he wrestled with God, and then it wasn't necessarily like God himself, but yeah, he wrestled. Yeah, we're just saying he wrestled with God. It could have been an angel, because if it was God himself, I feel like God would have just, yeah. But then I guess the purpose was not for God to eliminate Israel. Oh my goodness, I'm getting sidetracked. Okay, so the name Israel came from Jacob wrestling with God. And then Jacob had 12 sons, and then those 12 sons are the 12 tribes of Israel. And then after Jacob also found out that one of his sons, Joseph, who he thought was actually killed, was actually still alive. And then he ended up deciding to adopt two of Joseph's sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and then now they became 14 sons of Israel, and then hence we have the 14 tribes of Israel. So I'm chuckling a little because then it means like Manasseh and Ephraim, they are Joseph's sons, but they are also they are also Joseph's brothers, because Joseph's father adopted them. So it's kind of like, huh? The family just kept oh my goodness, the family that just kept on growing. So yeah, today we are going to read about David, anointed king of Israel. Yay! I feel like it's about time. You know, when you have been waiting for so long and finally things are lining up. So David's competition is out of the way, and funny thing is that he didn't have to kill anyone. He didn't kill anyone, in fact. And now he's free to be the king, and he can enjoy his reign. Okay, let's go. David anointed king of Israel. Then all the tribes of Israel came to David at Hebron and said, "Behold, we are your bone and flesh. In in times past, when Saul was king over us, it was you who led out and brought Israel. And the Lord said to you, you shall be shepherd of my people, Israel, and you shall be prince over Israel." I'm like, it's kind of funny how now everybody suddenly gets the revelation that, okay, yes, David is king, David is king. But when Saul was here, they all wanted to kill David. So it's weird how everybody just wants to align themselves with the people in power. Then can you really trust the people that work under you if all they care about is aligning themselves with the right person. Were okay with saving Saul, but now Saul is out of the picture. They're like, okay, we can align ourselves with David. I mean, the Lord said that David will be his shepherd, so let's just go. I mean, why didn't they say all of this when Saul was alive? I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be able to trust such people because they're kind of opportunistic, and I don't know if I can trust them. But good thing it's not about me. Yeah. So all the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron, and king. Okay, so all the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron, and King David made a covenant with them at Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. Yeah. Um so far I think it's still clear. Remember, at first, was it Abner, who was the commander of the army of Saul, kind of got all the Israelites to now go to like maybe talk about David being their king now that Saul is no longer the king, and Ishbosheth was like, no, Abner was like, no, Ishbosheth is not going to be a king. So everybody was already migrating to David, and now they're at Hebron officializing everything. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. So he was 30 and then he reigned for 40 years. So that's basically 70 years of life. Oh, sorry. So, yeah. And let's not compare. Obviously, if we were all living in the times of David, and I feel like most of us would certainly either not be alive, would be slaves, or would be concubines, and we wouldn't want that. So yeah, let's not compare. I was just thinking, oh my goodness, getting sidetracked again. Okay. At Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months. And at Jerusalem, he reigned over all Israel in 33 years. Okay. So altogether, Hebron, which is under Jerusalem and Judah, it was Hebron, which falls under Judah. He reigned for 7 years and 6 months. And then Jerusalem, which falls under Israel, he reigned for 33 years. So altogether was 40 years. Nice. Okay. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem again against the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, who said to David, "You will not come in here, but the blind and the lame will ward you off," thinking David cannot come in here. Okay, let's go back one more time. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem against the Jebusites. So thinking this is another battle. Like every weekend they get into a battle. Then the inhabitants of the land who said to David, so the people who lived in the land that David and his army went into. So the people of the Jebusites, when they saw David, they said to him, "You will not come in here, but the blind and the lame will ward you off." So what does that mean? Maybe the blind and the lame will shush you off? I don't know. What does it mean? Thinking, so David cannot come in here. So they were thinking that, okay, David cannot come in here. What does that mean? Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, that is the city of David. So meaning like David then took control of the city of David, which now became his. Now, because obviously it was not called the city of David before David, and then now after David is called the city of David. I think that makes sense. And David said on that day, "Whoever would not strike the Jebusite, let him get up the water shafts to attack the lame and the blind." who are hated by David's soul. Okay, so there's the lame and the blind and the Jebusite. So basically the Jebusite are using the lame and the blind to be like on the forefront of the battle, to maybe impede David from fighting them, because they're thinking, no, maybe he will feel sorry for them. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. And yeah, so David is saying, if you feel like whoever would strike the Jebusite, let him, whoever would strike the Jebusite, let him get up the water shaft to attack the lame and the blind, who are hated by David. So now David is saying to everyone that if you want to attack the Jebusite, go up to the water shaft and attack the lame and the blind. What does this have to do with anything? Therefore it is said, the blind and the lame shall not come into the house. Okay, I don't understand. Okay, let's maybe, we'll get more revelation as we keep going. And David lived in the stronghold and called it the city of David. And David built the city all around the Milo inward. Milo, I don't know. And David became greater and greater, for the Lord, the God of hosts, was with him. Okay, I'm going to go back to verse 6 again. So this is from verse 6 until verse 10. Hopefully we'll get more clarity. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem against the Jebusites and the inhabitants of the land. So David and his men went to Jerusalem, so against the Jebusite. So meaning that Jerusalem was not yet a part of Israel. It was just in the city that David wanted to conquer. So so they got there, and then the inhabitants of the land, who were the Jebusites, who said to David, so the Jebusites said to David, you will not come in here, but the blind and the lame will ward you off. So they're telling David that you will not come in here, but the blind and the lame will ward you off. So they will shoo you off. They will make sure that you don't come in. I don't know how, because if we are fighting, I feel like bringing someone is just someone to kill. I don't know. Yeah. Then they were thinking David cannot come in here. So they were thinking, because maybe David is a good man, he obviously wouldn't want to harm the lame and the blind. So, but David was like, nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, that is the city of David. So David captured the city of Zion, and then he named it the city of David. And David said on that day, whoever would strike the Jebusites, let him get up the water shaft to attack the lame and the blind, who are hated by David's soul. So David hates the lame and the blind. And then these people are using the lame and the blind to impede David from entering into the city. So David is saying, whoever wants to defeat the Jebusites must first attack this, which David hates already with his soul. So it doesn't make sense. Maybe it was just to delay. Therefore it is said, the blind and the lame shall not come into the house. So then meaning that the blind and the lame, as a result, will not survive, so will not come into the house of David, because they are going to get attacked. They're going to be attacked, and they will not make it into the house of David. And David lived in the stronghold and called it the city of David. I feel like even for me too, if I were to discover new land, I think I would name it. Maybe, I don't know if my name, the city of my name, I don't know which name you know me by, but I feel like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, because if you win, you decide what the place is called. So, and David built a city all around the Milo inward. I don't know what is a Milo. Millo. What is it? So he built the city around the Milo inward. So maybe the wall, surrounding wall, like the walls of Jericho. I don't know. And David became greater and greater, for the Lord, the God of hosts, was with him. Oh, this is one thing that Saul did not have: God on his side. So David is now showing everyone this is what Saul was supposed to be doing in the first place. Saul was anointed by God, but Saul chose to do things his way. And God was like, nah, it can either be you or me. And since you are choosing you, then I'm going to let you do what you want and I'll step back. Which makes sense. I will step back. You can do what you want and I will step back. And so after God, Elohim, Yahweh did step back, and now we saw the end of Saul, the Saul's demise. Every decision that Saul ended up making just kept on pushing him faster and faster to his death, to his demise. So now David is showing us the contrast, like, okay, this is what happens when God is with you all the way. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David and cedar trees along, carpenters and masons who built David's house. Okay, so King Hiram of Tyre now wants to work with David. Because obviously at this point everyone can see that David is succeeding. So King Hiram now wants to work with David. So he's sending David messengers and cedar trees and carpenters and masons who built David's house. So masons are people that work with rocks. Yeah, they cut them, rock cutters or whatever. And carpenters, obviously, they work with wood. And some people say that Jesus, like as much as the Bible says that Jesus was a carpenter, other people say that he was a mason, because the city that he was living in, they didn't have a lot of trees, but they had a lot of rocks. So I'm pretty sure that they knew what masons were and they knew what carpenters were. So I don't know. That's why we have to read the Bible and learn for ourselves. And David knew that the Lord has established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for the sake of his people Israel. So when David saw that the other kings want to work with him, and he saw that, like, I am getting favor from God and men, he knew that, okay, I am set. God has definitely established his kingdom with me. So, yay, yay. And David took more concubines and wives from Jerusalem after he came from Hebron, and more sons and daughters were born to David. Remember, so far, David is still in his 30s. So, at 30, David had, was it 2 wives? At 30, David had, was it 2? Yeah. 3 wives or 4, if we're including Micah, the son of the daughter of Saul. So 3 or 4. They're 30, and now he's already taking on concubines. So yeah, I don't know why men think a sign of success is to have more women. Yeah. And David took more concubines and wives from Jerusalem, and after he came from Hebron, and more sons and daughters were born to him. And these are the names of those who were born to him in Jerusalem: Shammua, Shobab, Nathan, Solomon, Eber, Elishua, Nepheg, Jabiah, Elishama, Eliada, and Eliphelet. So these are the sons that were born to David in Jerusalem. Remember, David had other kids before he came to Jerusalem, but these are the sons that were born to him in Jerusalem. Specific. So now David defeats the Philistines. Verse 17. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over Israel, all the Philistines went up to search for David, but David heard of it and went down to the stronghold. Why are the Philistines searching for David? Because if you remember, there was a time when David decided to live with the king of the Philistines, and Saul was still alive. So that's basically where Saul died. So David lived with the king of the Philistines, and then now the Philistines had to fight the Israelites, and then David was ready to fight alongside the Philistines, but the Philistines were like, first, we would rather you don't have to make that decision to have to betray the Lord's anointed, because it would come to a point where you would have to make such a decision. So we would rather you don't make that decision and sin against your God. And two, we don't want to find out if you would choose your Israelite people over the Philistines. As much as, yes, we are grateful for you offering to help, we don't want to find out if your loyalty is so great that you would never betray Saul. So, and then David went home, and then when he got home, he found out that their wives and kids were kidnapped and all of their belongings were taken. So David went and got all of that, and then he came back. They lived there, and then blah blah blah. And then I think from there, that's when Saul was also killed. So which also means that David was actually spared of killing Saul. He would have had to kill Saul had he gone there with the Philistines. So now the Philistines, after they find out that David is now king, David has been anointed king over Israel. So now they are looking for him. Why? Let's see. Now the Philistines had come and spread out in the valley of Rephaim, and David inquired of the Lord, "Shall I go up against the Philistines? Will you give them into my hands?" And the Lord said to David, "Go up, for I will certainly give the Philistines into your hands." Okay, so I guess this means war, because now the Philistines are like, no, as soon as David is king, let's eliminate him. I'm pretty sure they're thinking of the David that they knew when he was still running away from Saul. They're not thinking of the David who is now king and has the authority. Yeah, so they are thinking, okay, he's still running away from, anyone who would kill him. Like, that's how some kings lived. Yeah, so they're still thinking, he's going to run away, of course. But David now is like, okay, God, should I go against the Philistines? Will you give them into my hands? Those are two questions. God can say, you can go against them, but I will not give them into your hands. And then what would be the point? Or God can say, no, don't go against them. I will fight them off on my own. I mean, he created everything. But God is like, yes, go. I will be with you. Go up, for I will certainly give the Philistines into your hands. So you know that God doesn't want to do. He can. Honestly, he can. I mean, he created everything. He can, but he would rather work with you. So this is why David asked him, shall I go and fight the Philistines? And God says, no, yes, you can go. I will be with you. And David came to Perazim, and David defeated them there. And he said, the Lord has broken through my enemies before like a breaking flood. So when you can see like the powerful hand of work in your at hand in your life, it honestly comes like a flood. It comes like a flood. And David, this is the picture that David gets. The Lord has broken through the enemies before me like a floodgate. He did not even consider the enemies, which shows that the fight, yeah, it was that bad for the Philistines. Therefore, the name of the place is called Perazim. Baal Perazim. So, which means the Lord has broken through my enemies before me like a flood. So, Baal Perazim means that in Hebrews, I don't know. And the Philistines left their idols there, and David and his men carried them away. And yeah, so the Philistines, obviously, some got away, some ran away, and I feel like I would be one of those who run away when they see that this is getting serious. Yeah, I will run away. And the Philistines came up and spread out in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, "You shall not go up. Go around to their rear and come against them opposite to the balsam tree." Okay, so the Philistines now went into the valley of Rephaim. So I think their point was maybe okay, let's get ready for David, but looking at one direction. And now the Lord told David, no, don't go this way because they'll be expecting you. Rather go around to their back, to their rear, and go against him, the opposite the balsam trees. So obviously from behind, no one is expecting you. But yes, with God's help, yeah. And when you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the balsam tree, then rouse yourself, for then the Lord has gone out before you to strike them down, to strike them down the army of the Philistines. So this is what happens when the Lord fights for you. So the Lord here is telling David, okay, go behind them, and then when you hear marching from the tops of the balsam tree, then it will be a sign to you that the Lord has gone out before you to strike down the army of the Philistines. So meaning like the Lord has already done it. When you hear the sound, when you hear people, the marching, just know that it is done. And David did as the Lord commanded him and struck down the Philistines from Geba to Gezer. This is so easy. So easy. But obviously for me, my point of view is my life is not in danger. But I'm saying this is so easy because God is doing everything for David. He is telling David, go this way, don't go this way. Do this, don't do this. And also, he is fighting the battles for David. So David can be the only person in the army and defeat multitudes of people because it is not David who is fighting the battle. Guys, we serve a great God. This is the revelation of the teaching today. Put God first. Talk to God first. Don't make decisions on your own. Talk to God and he will tell you if you should go or not go, if you go or stay. And if you do go, he will help you. Or he will even defeat everything or everyone for you. And then when you get there, you just give thanks to God. This is the heart posture of David. So David just knew that I am nothing. I cannot do anything. I cannot even move without God telling me to move. And when he knew that all that he is because of God, he sought after God for everything in his life. And which showed, the result of it showed that yes, God defeating multitude of people, and David just comes there to tie up loose ends. That's God. That's God. Guys, we have reached the end of today's teaching. Tomorrow, next time, we are going to read about the ark brought to Jerusalem. It is not as bad, verse 23. So, hope to see you guys next time, and remember to study the word for yourself. I could be lying, and how would you know if you don't read the word for yourself? How would you know if you don't take the time to get to know God for yourself? So the only thing that I'm trying to encourage you guys to read the word. Have a personal relationship with your creator. He created you out of nothing, and as a result, he also came just so you could have a relationship with him. Why not just recognize that, humble yourself, and know that you are nothing without your creator? Give glory to Jesus, give glory to God, and your life, it will not be easy. Nothing about this life is easy. But if you are with God, he guides you through everything. And honestly, at the end, when you look back, you see that this was not as bad. Even if, yes, people, maybe a lot of things happened and it went horribly, but you know that if God was not there, it would have been a whole lot worse. But because God was there with you, you made it through. So trust Jesus. He is the author and finisher of your life, the author and finisher of your faith. So see you guys next time, and I hope you have a great week. Bye bye. I love you. Jesus loves you too. Bye.